I had the most awful and terrifying thing happen to me a week ago. I've tried to forget that it ever happened and convince myself that it was only a dream, but I cannot reasonably continue to deny it. What happened was very real, and very frightening. Ever since the happening I have been extremely paranoid and living in constant fear that it will happen again. I haven't been able to sleep, fearing that unless I remain vigilant they will return and repeat what they did last time. I have felt very isolated since this event took place, which only adds to my sense of dread and paranoia. It all seems so outlandish that I am starting to question my sanity. I'm not comfortable with the idea of telling my family or even my closest personal friends about it. I'm afraid that they will almost certainly think that I'm crazy or something, which I suppose is understandable given what it entails. This leaves only one option, which is to anonymously share my experiences over the internet. I hope that perhaps somebody else out there has had the same thing happen to them too, and can confirm this. I seek consolation. I want to know that I am not alone and that others have experienced this too. It started a few weeks ago. It had gotten pretty warm outside as we're rapidly getting close to summer, so the inside of my home was ferociously hot. I was always sweating all the time, which annoyed me to no end. To cope with the heat, I had taken to sleeping in the nude with the covers off, which was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made, seeing that it only attracted them. I went to bed at the usual time, only to awaken to the sound of a neighbor's dog barking in the middle of the night. I assume you've heard of this condition where, as you wake up, your body is paralyzed and you can't move voluntarily. Basically you are stuck there waiting for the sensation to wear off. Although I had heard of it happening to other people, I myself had never experienced this up until that time. I slowly woke up, thinking things were normal at first, but I started to sense a very eerie presence in the room, like something was watching me. So I tried to move my head so that I could look around, but I couldn't. At that point I realized that my body was completely numb and that I was incapable of voluntarily moving it. I couldn't move any part of my body no matter how hard I tried. The eerie impression that I was being watched intensified, causing me to panic. I quickly discovered that I could move my eyeballs around at least, so I started looking around the area of the room that I could see at the moment. It was very dark and initially I could not see at all. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness I was able to see everything somewhat clearly. The sight of them caused me to scream. However, due to the paralysis I could not scream, my voice only came out a muffled whimper. They were mostly black creatures, I don't know what else to call them, with white skeletal faces, the only difference being that where their mouths should have been, it was completely blank. The only orifices on their faces were black, vacuous holes for eyes, and nostrils. There were 5 of them from what I saw. They were just hovering around me, menacingly watching me with their vacuous black eyes. They just stared at me for what seemed like an eternity, until one of them spoke to me. They didn't so much speak as they projected their thoughts at me telepathically. It was painful when they did this, perceiving it was like a shrieking voice that pierced your eardrums. "Go back to sleep," one of them told me. "We don't like it when our human hosts wake up while we are feeding. Please go back to sleep. I assure you that you will still live to see the sun rise." This answer freaked me out so much that I renewed my struggle to get my body to start working again, but alas, I was still completely paralyzed. That was when one of the other ones spoke to the first one. "I don't care if you feel self-conscious when the humans are awake to watch us work. I'm hungry now, so I want to harvest now. I want to work as quickly as possible before the sun rises. Now, can we please do this?" Another replied, "I agree, look at how ripe that human is. It's oozing so much moisture from all of its pores right now. That smell is making me completely hungry." With that, all 5 of them started circling around my bed, looking down at me. I tried to scream again, but all I could do was whimper. I kept on thinking, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die, please stop." It was then one of them reassured me, "You're not going to die. We're just going to feed off of you." I was hoping that they would at least tell me who, or what they were. After all, if they could read my thoughts, then theoretically they should be able to answer my questions. However, they didn't answer me at all, and just started leaning over me, their faces close to mine. It was at that point that I saw proboscises coming out of their nostrils, like the ones insects use. They started sucking all the sweat off my body with their proboscises. It had to be the most disgusting sensation that I ever felt in my entire life. Then it started getting really painful for me, as they started using their proboscises to penetrate into my pores. They then sucked the moisture out. They would suck in one place, and once that spot was depleted, they would move to another part of my body and repeat the process. It was then I started to feel really dehydrated, and my throat was hurting from the dryness. It was then I thought about the bottle of water on my side table, longing to drink it to relieve the pain. To my surprise, one of the creatures actually grabbed the water bottle. It then grabbed my hair, lifted my head upward and started pouring the water into my mouth. I choked at first. He was pouring the water down too fast. But then he slowed it down, and I was then able to drink the whole bottle until it was completely empty. Once the bottle was dry, he dropped both my bottle and my head. My head landed back on my pillows, while the bottle landed by my side. I was somewhat confused by this act of kindness. The only words I had in my thoughts were this: "Why? Why do that? You are one of my humans, one of many that I have been watching for many moons. Now that you have poured plenty of food for my brethren, it would be a waste to let you die." The one who had given me the water bottle explained to me. "You see, humans are our source of life. It is all part of the interrelationship. All humans are utilized as sustenance for my brethren." This seemed to annoy the others, and they started to complain that he was becoming overly attached to his prey. They told him to shut up and start feeding on me. The feeding persisted for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, I became so exhausted that I blacked out. When I awoke, it was early in the afternoon. I lay there, looking around the room. Everything seemed so normal that I dismissed what had happened as a dream. This changed when I saw the empty water bottles scattered all over my bed and on the floor, and found that I was covered from head to toe in what looked and felt like massive bug bites. The thought of those creatures coming every night to feed on my body's moisture, and the thought of those creatures staring at all of us every night, waiting to see if we became ripe with moisture as if we were plants or something, it's extremely disturbing. Please tell me that I'm not crazy. Please tell me if it happened to you too, and please tell me how to get rid of them. I haven't slept in a long time ever since it happened. It's been a week already. I think they're already here. Right now I can feel them watching, and the shadows here are moving unnaturally. I can always detect movement and figures out of my peripheral vision, even in broad daylight. I would leave right now, but I feel helpless against them, as if doing so would be pointless. Please answer me.